y'all. This is going to be a short one. I have about 30% battery left on my phone. So I just want to make sure that I get this up so I can see the comments if I need to. Don't know how much I point my fingers until I see these videos. But what I'm going to do is, I have this Deco Art stencil. I've used it before. It's a real pretty one, I think. It was on the front of that big boho entertainment center I did a while back. I'm going to use that. I'm going to pull the camera closer and bend it down to where you can just see my hands in a minute. But I've taken the drawers out, and I'm going to put the bottom half of the stencil, I'll do probably after the video's over. I'm going to put here and go around where the knobs were, because it had this really pretty decorative knob thing with the hangy downy knob, but only one. So I wanted something pretty on both sides to go and look decorative like that whenever I change out the knobs. But so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to use the larger part of the stencil at the top to hide some of the ugly veneer that I was trying to fix up there. So this is just a Deco Art. Ordered it on Amazon, and it's called Brocade Motif. And you can use these to paint through or whatever, but what I'm going to use tonight is Dixie Belle Mud, so that it'll be a raised texture. And this thing here, and this is white. They also make like a brown or whatever, but I always just use the white because I'm going to paint over it anyways. So hopefully this will help somebody else out. And I'm going to bring you forward, and then see if I can get all the way up here, and then I'm going to bend this down to where you can be looking hopefully directly at the issue. And my hands when I'm working on it, but I'll have to double check that, because once this goes down, I won't be able to see the camera anymore myself. And hopefully I'll be able to look at it on the tablet. Okay, obviously you can't see that. I'm going to try to bring this forward a little. Bring this forward a little. Here. This is, see this cracked area? It's, yeah, you can see it. Okay, this is I've got this whole thing glued down. And I came back and I filled this full of wood glue, and I sat a gallon paint jug on it again. So this is down now, but this is more raised, and it's bumpy and it's ugly where the little bit of extra glue was there. So I've still been trying to decide what to do. So I think this is the best thing. And what I'm thinking, I mean, I would love to, I thought how cute it would look, you know, decoratively coming off to the side and then putting something on the side over there. But then that doesn't hide much of the thing. So my whole point of having this here, I've got to think of this big ugly spot and this big ugly spot, and find a way to get as much as can be of that filled with mud. So I think, and I want it to be relatively straight at least, I think that's probably going to be the best that I can do right there. And I should have brought some tape in here. I didn't, so I'm just going to have to put my hand on top of it. I'll put this up there. And I'm not going to come around this edge. I'm only just going to the end right here. And this stuff is like a Play-Doh, sort of like if you make your own homemade Play-Doh. A little bit sticky, but not too bad. But this stencil is very thin, so I can't put it on here too thick. But I want it to be on here thick enough to be the difference between these two layers there, so that I can hide most of that damage. So the first thing I'm going to do is put it right where I want it, and it's so thick that that's going to help to hold down my stencil a little bit. I'm raking across it and trying to be mindful of not lifting up any of the small little details, because that'll smear the mud if it does. But since this is supposed to look semi-distressed, we're not going to stress out over it if it does. Grab a little bit more. And make sure I get down here in this edge. And this, I'll let this dry overnight. And then tomorrow I'm going to paint right over it when I just put the second coat of paint on the vanity. I'm scraping, but not too, you know, I'm not scraping it as much as it can be scraped flat because I do want it to be thick. And I believe that it will be fine for me to pile it a little thicker right there where I want the most coverage, because it doesn't have to be even all the way around since we're going for a bit of a distressed look. So move that out of the way, rip this off like a band-aid, and there it is. So see how cool that's going to be? Once that's painted, in just a minute I'm going to come back through here and clean up this, let me do it with a different one, this edge right here. Whoa! Because I didn't want it to come over this edge. And that's just sort of mashing that flat through there. I'm not going to worry about this part right here where I smeared a little bit. Well, I won't worry about it much because I'm done over here messing with it now. Because I will sand over this a little bit tomorrow to level it out a little bit. But see where the big ugliest crevice is now gone. It's hidden under the mud. This one over here is partially hidden, but the fact that it's going to be distressed over there on that corner and have this right beside the corner is going to make that not even noticeable. And that we will tie it to the bottoms, because I will then come back and just lay this bottom part. I'm going to start with these dots right here, and then I'm going to center the, let's see which one will center. This hole right here is the perfect size. I'm going to wipe this off so I don't spread any extra mud. But on this particular thing, this hole is the same exact size as my hardware hole. So I'm going to have this come under that decorative edge, this sitting over the hole, and that's how I'm going to tell that I have it in the same spot on both drawers. There's a little bit of mud that came through. I don't know how much battery I have. I'll go ahead and try one of these with y'all here. See if I can move this out of the way without knocking everything over and get one of these where you can see. Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, see how the drawer is? It has the big hole. It has this decorative piece here. So I'm just wanting something down here. So I'm going to line up that hole. Oh, no, wrong hole. Going to line up that hole and then go from these dots down. Same thing that we did up top, but that'll just tie that little bit of texture from the top to the bottom. Hopefully I'm not going to make a mess here. And like I said, I'm not worried too much about it being perfect because it's going to be sanded down a little anyways. But I at least want to be partially careful there. Try to make sure it's decorative and not a teetotal mess. Boom. So these little holes didn't do how I wanted them to. But I was pushing that down over that, and I think it's going to be fine because we're wanting it to look aged. So see how that's going to be decorative, and then as soon as I'm off of here, I'll take a pencil or something and stab it down in that hole so that my hole will still be there. And this will dry hard and be sandable. And hopefully tie it all together and still give it a decent look. Do the same thing here. It should line up right if they had their drawers right. Put it over the hole. I don't know if I got enough there. I didn't. There we go. And it's going to do the same thing because these top 3 holes are not, because of the bump of this top part, they're not able to lay down flat, but that's okay. As long as it does the same thing on both, I'm happy with it. So, there we go. That's my answer to what I'm going to do about the cracked veneer on this old piece. I'm going to clean all this up real quick, best I can, around the edges, get off any loose mud, and then I'm going to take a break for the rest of the day. I appreciate y'all joining me, and if you have any questions, let me know. Hey, Liz, and I will come back with this part when we're ready to paint over it and let you see how it looks when it's dry, and we'll go from there. Bye.